speaking. My name is George Chicks, and like we said before we went on our short break, we're going to be having a conversation on workplace harassment. Now, our gist for today, hi babies, how you guys doing?
Oh, fine.
All right, so I have gists. So a friend of mine is kind of in a tight spot, and she told me about something, and I promised that I'll share with you guys, and we could maybe prefer some solutions. Now, she's been working at this place for about 6 months now, and what happened is that, according to her, her boss likes to hug her a lot. Now, she somehow found this very uncomfortable, but whenever she spoke about it, people made it seem like she was overreacting to just some niceness. So last week, she went to his office to drop off some documents, and when she was leaving, he smacked her bum.
Oh my God.
So the conversation line she's throwing is that workplace harassment, and does she have any solutions? Is something that she can do? And it made me really do some personal research, and according to the definition I found, workplace harassment is any workplace behavior that you find uncomfortable, intimidating, or even humiliating and makes you feel offended. Now, for a while now, workplace harassment has been in the news, especially since the uproar surrounding the Me Too movement, where members of Hollywood were speaking up against harassment in their industry. Now, corporate conversations has already began around workplace harassment, and we are donating our voices. Let me start by saying this. This is Blessing Hansen. I wonder if you can see her. She's really beautiful. She's been on our show for a while now, but a lot of us do not know that Blessing is a superwoman. Blessing Hansen is a producer. Yes, she's been producing our show for a while now, but she's not been available. She's also a presenter, and she's also a human resource personnel. Can we give a round of applause for Blessing Hansen? So while we decided to have this conversation, it was only right to bring up a professional to join us in it. So for starters, Blessing, what is workplace harassment?
Okay, workplace harassment is usually where an individual is singled out and then he's being treated unfairly. That's harassment. Okay, and it's usually done and it's intended to bring down the person's morale. It isolates the person, humiliates, and also intimidates the individual or the employee. So workplace harassment is very, very, very personal, and it's a big issue in workplaces. So the very first thing to do when you're in this situation...
Wait, don't tell us yet. What is it there? So, Adrian, what do you think workplace harassment is?
I think workplace harassment is being treated unfairly in your workplace. Putting it simply, you're being treated unfairly, you're being segregated, you're being treated maybe, sometimes you always bring in sexual harassment is a major thing, but I think there are other things like you're too fat, there's a way you eat, the kind of lunch you bring, or people intimidating you because maybe they're older than you or they know more than you. Those are different forms of harassment. So anything that makes you uncomfortable in the workplace is workplace harassment.
John, do you share the same thought with both of them?
Harassment is a threatening behavior
of
belittling an individual or a group of workers. It ranges from offensive jokes to assaults, offensive pictures, to so many others that I feel that many people don't know when they are being harassed because they don't know work ethics.
Amazing.
Now, one of the work ethics is attitude, and attitude it composes so many things. When you have what they call the good attitude at work, you won't have the time to want to harass your co-workers. So I feel before you know when you're harassed, you have to know what they call workplace ethics.
Amazing.
That will make you know when you'll be harassed.
Okay, you're going to give us more information on that. We have a comment from Usaze Paul Wokan. He says, good morning, TSL. Good morning, Paul. Remember, you can drop as many comments as you want concerning our conversation. Today, we're discussing workplace harassment. Now, John, you said something. You said a lot of people do not even know that they're being harassed. And because I am studious, I brought a whole list. It's going down today. So a lot of things that we do not consider so serious is actually a serious problem in workplaces, and I got a list that is somewhat exhaustive. Now, we have racial harassment, one that is not very common in these parts of the world, where you're being treated differently because of your race. We have gender harassment, where you're being treated unfairly or things are done to you that are very offensive because of your gender. right? Then we have religious harassment. Now, this one is something that I feel like is quite common, even though we don't speak about it. Now, religious harassment is when you find yourself in a space where maybe your religion is not the major one that is done there, and then they do not observe things that are special to your religion. For example, they do not observe your religious holidays. They laugh at when you talk about your religion. They laugh at when you do things concerning your religion. That is religious harassment. There's, sexual orientation harassment when you are of a different sexual orientation. Maybe you're gay, you're lesbian, bisexual, and then you're picked on in the workplace because of this. There's age-based harassment, one that I feel like we do not talk about at all. Now, this is only applicable to people that are 40 years and above. Basically, it's elderly harassment. When this happens is when you're singled out at work, they make jokes at your age, old mama yongi, you are too old for this, why are you wearing this skirt? Or they say, let's not invite this man to the party because he's 45. You just dull our moment. That is actually age harassment, and there are laws that are protecting elderly people for something like this. There's also personal harassment, which include offensive jokes. We could go on and on and on about personal harassment. There is physical harassment, which has to involve some sort of violence and assault on your person. There is cyberbullying in workplace harassment.
People don't know that.
This is very interesting. I really want you guys to take this seriously. So cyberbullying, when it comes to workplace harassment, it involves things like sharing, maybe your coworker posts something embarrassing online, and then you take a screenshot and you post it in the office WhatsApp group.
You know, that's the type.
And if you know, and stuff like that. Or, and this one is I found this quite hilarious, when you and your colleague discuss about another colleague in a negative light via social media. That WhatsApp gossip you are doing. It is a workplace harassment. And then there is power harassment, which I think is very common in our parts. When you harass your coworkers or you treat them unfairly because you're in a higher place of power than those people. Now, it could be explained in a way when you give a highly placed employee a job that is entirely beneath them. It is seen as power harassment. Or when you give them deadlines that are unreasonable or impossible to meet up, it is called power harassment. Or when you just make them do things that they shouldn't do, or you do things and you know that they can't complain because you're superior in hierarchy to them at the office, that is power harassment. And then there's retaliation harassment, which is also quite interesting. Now, retaliation harassment is when maybe a coworker reports a situation to your superior, and then you find out that this is the person that reported you, and then you begin to attack the person. It is retaliation harassment. And then there is a big daddy of them all, sexual harassment. So now that we know the types of harassment, let's get into it. Now, I saw something that said that Nigeria doesn't have laws protecting you against sexual harassment. Is that true?
Yeah, actually, the only state that has a law protecting us right now is protecting individuals is in Lagos. That's the only states that actually has, all the Nigeria actually has is a law against discrimination, which is not really tied to us, but it's a UN act that was passed. So there's a law against indiscriminate treating of your co-workers, so you do not treat them anyhow. But what you have for only law about sexual workplace harassment is in Lagos, not in the country in general.
So if I'm treated unfairly at my workplace in Sokoto, there's nothing I can do about it.
I don't think there's basically nothing you can do, but there's a way to run around it.
Should have your employee rights. You should know your employee rights. So you know that I have my rights. I know what I'm entitled to. You get, so when you make these complaints, because most times people get laid off. People are being treated bad, and then they probably would say you should go away from the office or something, lay you off. So if you know your rights and your entitlement, you should know that, I'm not supposed to do this. And every organization ought to have policies and conducts guiding workplace harassment. So if you don't have it, you should go to review it. You should have a template that has to speak for workplace harassment.
Amazing. I feel in Nigeria, sexual harassment is being taken for granted. You feel once your boss is harassing you, the best thing to do is leave the complaint. Many will even tell you that even if you have records, because you don't have money to back it up with courts, you may just be left stranded. So I feel it's best the Nigerian government does something like set up a kind of organization. So when I'm harassed by my boss, I can go to them and the case will be treated fairly.
First of all, you have to meet the HR, human resource.
What if the HR is close?
Exactly.
What is the one harassing you?
Usually they make females the HR because of the way males they feel okay, the male
Very oppressive.
yeah, would oppress more, so they use the females that are more understanding, you get. So if you go to the HR and she doesn't do anything, or he or she doesn't do anything about it, then you could say, okay, I want to go higher to the higher authority. But the very first thing to do in a workplace, in an organization, is go to your HR. That's why it's called human resource. So you report these cases. If your boss is touching you in places you're not comfortable with, you go there, you meet her, and then approach us as well. The approach also matters, because if you go and talk to your boss rudely, you're endangering yourself and then causing more harm. So your approach towards your boss, your approach towards the HR, when you go to make these complaints, you the HR as well, please take up the matter. Don't just feel okay, probably because the boss is close to you or the boss is your friend, you now want to slice the person and be like, can you imagine this person came today and reported this and this to me, you're not doing a good job. So what you do, you use wisdom in handling this. So you file a case concerning this, and then you make sure it goes further, and then you know your rights as well as a staff. And then the HR should also make sure that they train every staff to know what work harassment is, because most of us we actually don't know. Probably I come into the office and probably I'm a female and I'm the head of every, like the CEO or something, and then people feel like she came to she's just there because of so and so, because of she used her body
Connection.
You get. So that as well is a fault to us as well. So if you are the HR, if you are a top position, do not oppress people just because. If you're a leader is meant to serve and not to step on people's toes. So you should as well serve and not step on people's toes and feel okay, probably because you said something to this person or you're making advances to this person, and because the person is refusing, you now start acting, start giving anything the person does, if it coughs, you're like, I'm sanctioning you and all that. It's not right. You don't oppress people. A workplace should be where you should be happy and comfortable.
Yeah, okay, so going back to your story about the lady who, yes, your friend who was being
harassed by the
hugged unnecessarily and then finally landed with her being tapped in the ass. Now, I feel that she has to, first of all, check what the guy and the boss's attitude towards her. Has there been hints over time? Because before he got to spank her ass, there could have been other hints. It wasn't just hugging, and then she could have been able to place a boundary in a way that he knows that she doesn't like it. Now, I've been in
according to her, sorry to interject, according to her, she has been complaining and everybody told her that she's overreacting.
Are she giving him an attitude to show that this doesn't go well with me?
Well, she doesn't want to be homeless.
She doesn't want to lose her job. Okay, so I feel that, I think sometimes what happens is that we're not vocal about these things. You feel harassed, you feel being treated wrongly, you don't say anything about it. You actually need to say something about it, irrespective of, because finally, after all that's said and done, you may actually have to leave the office. So now you keep enduring, you need to be vocal about it, you need to say something about it, you need to say something as politely as possible first to your boss, and then start thinking, do I need to leave this place? Now, something similar almost happened to me once, where my boss literally was almost harassing me. I had to start putting it like, I don't take this, I don't do this. I spoke to someone who I knew could talk to him, and then he began to say, it's just a misunderstanding, I didn't, it's just wrong communication, and I knew that it was a lie, but but he got the point. After then, he did not, because he had a relationship with the person, he did not want any issues. Do you understand? Usually you have to find someone, because I would like to use Nigeria as a case study, because certain things that happen as harassment, many of us don't know it's harassment. Many of our bosses don't recognize it as harassment. Even our colleagues don't think it's harassment. So because they don't know it's harassment or don't think it's harassment, it's just a normal thing, and all that. So we don't. So I feel one of the things that such people should do, be vocal about it, talk to someone who can actually help you and do something about it.
No, wonderful. Now, there's something that you just reminded me, something that I saw online a while ago when that You Smell Nice was trending.
Yeah.
And there was something somebody said that really stuck. She said that she's been living in Canada for a while now, and she said a lot of Nigerians will not function in a developed society because they do not know how to behave. But there are a lot of Nigerian behaviors that we have are not tolerated anywhere, and that a lot of Nigerians are unwilling to learn, unlearn, and relearn.
And
Yeah,
that's the truth. Even
yeah.
in the marketplace, you're walking down and then you see guys touching you.
Unnecessarily.
Yes, those kind of
Yeah,
things.
that is actually a form of harassment, because you see, like I said, many times people don't know that. They don't know, and they don't try to be informed about it. And then even when the person in question starts to say, "Don't do this to me, I don't like it," they start to think you're overreacting. Because I'm just playing with you.
Sometime, I think it was early this year, there was something they did in Lagos called Yaba Market March. It was a group of women that came together, dressed up and carried placards, and went to the market with placards that says, "Stop touching us. Don't touch us." And do you know how the men reacted? Ashawo! Ashawo, why they not go touch you? Now you go marry yourself. But are you the one that's going to marry me though?
There's what they call personal harassment, which many Nigerians don't even know exists. Personal harassment is when you tell me stuff like, see the way you're dressing, you do offensive jokes, like jokes about my appearance at the workplace, about so you want to just ridicule me. People don't even know it's it's
Harassment.
I mean, somebody will just come to my face and want to talk to me or want to just
No respect for personal space.
Yes. So I feel Nigerians, the way to address that now is to make people know the kind of harassment they have. Like now, there's something they call personal harassment. So when you come to my face or you touch me in a wrong way, you know you're harassing me. I think without that, people won't even know they're harassing you, and you even know you're being harassed.
That's why she said, according to Adriel, you speak up first of
So
all.
you need to be vocal about it.
Because we don't know about it.
No, I mean, for you to think, for you to see that something, it's for you to be uncomfortable. Like I come to Joyce now and I start to rub on her back, and then she says,
I think what Joanne is saying is that a lot of people are not aware that they
Not
can
orientated.
complain about such
Okay.
situations, especially when it seems like office culture. And I've come into a place, I stayed there for a really short period of time, but I noticed that there's some things there that just cannot fly in a standard organization. You know, you come in, the boss says something offensive about your body, the whole crew would laugh. Do you know? You know, guys are all extra touchy, and then they're like, "Leave me, Joe," and everybody just laughs. A lot of those people there are not offended because they're not aware about being harassed. Now, this brings this question: are you truly harassed if you do not consider it harassment?
okay, so I think what would be harassment would be there's certainly a certain ethics that applies for certain workplaces.
Somebody said something one day. Said it's not sexual harassment if the man is fine. Please go on.
Anyway, so what happens is that you have every office has its work ethics. Every office has the rules and regulations that they allow. Every office has what they say this and this and this and this should be done in the office. So you should know about it. That's one. Two, there are certain places you cannot overplay in the office. You can't try it. Now, those kind of play, if it's being curtailed, the office doesn't allow being freedom to say anything you like, freedom to just talk to anybody anyhow. First, just say, "Joyce, have fun," and then I just unnecessarily slap you every time. Every time I meet you. Do you understand? Now, if there are those rules help individuals to behave themselves. That's one. Two, so if you don't know, find out if there are rules applies to you, and then you will now know. And then some people just think it should be normal. It shouldn't be normal, because when something else now happens in another scenario, you get angry.
You were used to it before.
Exactly. So that means your fellow colleague has been saying, this particular colleague greets you like this, or maybe several others, and then this one just comes and say, this is how everybody responds to us. Let me do. You now say no. But this is something that you have been. This is something you've been accepting since, and then somebody else now comes and you're like, no, please don't do that again. Then the person begins to wonder, okay.
But then do I not have the prerogative of deciding what I see as harassment.
Yes, it's your choice.
I'm just saying that if I'm comfortable with you rubbing my body, doesn't mean I'm comfortable with Bibi and Joanne doing the exact same thing. So are you saying that if I accept it for somebody from 5 people, then I cannot exclude the one person I do not want?
I'm saying that be vocal about it, say something. Because I believe that many times the misunderstanding is the lack of communication. Let's start from there first. Say something about it, and then when it persists, say something more. Go to someone else, go to the HR and tell the HR this and this and this and this needs to be done. Now, going back to your friend's case, let's provide solution.
Yes,
I feel that she should I would want to quickly say quit your job because of the kind of environment you're in. Just quit your job and get a better one. Or while you're there, start looking for a new job.
That was my advice.
Because I don't know how you're going to take it up. And another thing I found that is it's easier for us that work in bigger organizations to say something. What if you're just a secretary?
You and Yoga.
You and Yoga. Who's the
two of you are just
HR are you going to report to? Who are you going to get the HR to say?
Speaking up is one thing. Speaking up and then telling your boss, sir, I don't like this thing, and then the way you speak to him too matters. So you tell him, okay, I don't like the way you touch me, I don't like the way you play with me. Let him know. It's except when he hears from you and then he doesn't do anything about it, then you now decide to leave the job.
Okay, wonderful. My own is like I said previously, hustle your way out. Find a way to get a new job. Just working in a place that you'll be comfortable.
You won't be leaving every office just
But the thing is that when people say that, you know, if I say I won't take this now, what if I don't see a better gig? It puts people in a box. It makes them feel uncomfortable. I mean, I don't want to brag about TSL Nigeria, but nobody has slapped my bum so far. So what if I was in a bad organization and I kept saying that, what if I don't find another place, or what if every other place is not like that? The situation keeps deteriorating constantly. Now, while we're about to round up this conversation, I want us to pick up something that a lot of people do not speak about: male harassment in the workplace. Now, a lot of men never know that they're harassed, or they feel complimented. So if you find a man that is being sexually harassed and he isn't complaining, is it harassment?
He has to identify it first of all.
He has to know that it's actually being harassed. If he doesn't say anything about it.
It's kind of how men, growing boys, do not speak up when they're being raped by older women, claiming that, you know, it's guy, man. I lost. You miss a lot of men. I'm like, oh, how did you? What was your first time? Like, they're like, it was my sister's friend. It was the copper in my school that time. It was my
pride. Like,
do you understand? They feel like they have game. You were 13 years old. You had 0 game. You were raped. How I need to say that.
I think for men, one of the reasons why they won't come out and say they're being harassed is because of their pride.
And they feel
and they feel that because society has put so much pressure on men to always be on top of their game and always be the man. Be the man. You see a young boy crying, let him be a child. Tell him no. You can't cry. Let the boy be a child, but they don't let them be children. And so because they grow up like that, when they grow up and then they walk into a place and their boss is probably a female boss, is actually constantly saying, I want to sleep with you, that is sexual harassment. Come to my office and she wants to harass you in all the ways, caress you and touch you all the ways. You're being harassed, but you don't want to say anything about it because, and you're even uncomfortable about it.
I actually went to drop off a document. I hope this woman never watches this episode. I went to drop off a document and I was in the office waiting for her to be done, and then an employee came in and then she looked at his and she was like, what do you pack food here? So now wow, and then she hit it.
Oh my God.
And then he chuckled uncomfortably and walked out very embarrassed.
Wow.
So is there anything the government can do? We're going to wrap up on these questions. Is there anything the government can do to help this? He doesn't want to lose his job.
Or be queried.
Like I said earlier, I feel strongly that the government should create like a committee, so maybe you can be free to walk into and say, my boss did this to me. And
like a trade union.
There's actually equal employment opportunity commission, that you could go to report these cases.
Okay, and then I also think we should get a law that binds us to help us. So when you take such cases to court, it can actually have something backing you up, so you can actually have good.
And start from your workplace as well.
Okay.
Get the policy, get a template that makes out these rules, So when you start from there, if it doesn't work out, then you can go further.
And on that note, we're going to come to the end of this show. There's so much conversation that we can have on workplace harassment, and we wouldn't even leave here. I'll end on this comment from Dominion Okeke. He says, harassment exists very well, but my idea about it is that you either take it to be or not. But the harassment that goes against human morals, that one should be generally recognized. But apart from that, anyone that says this or that is harassment obviously is insecure. I want us to deliberate on this, but I don't have time. And then he says maybe a solution should be given for such insecurities. I think this is called victim blaming.
Yeah.
When you blame the person that is being attacked for feeling attacked.
Yeah.
It is called victim blaming. Maybe Dominion Okeke.
We don't
can read about
support that.
Yeah,
We
if I'm
don't.
uncomfortable with something happening to me, then why shouldn't I speak up?
Exactly. That's not insecurity or exactly.
Just be quiet about it.
Don't put us in a box.
Yes.
And on that note, we're going to say have a lovely day. Thank you so much for joining us on The Breakfast Show on TS Nigeria TV. We'll be here again tomorrow at the same time. Have yourself a lovely day and good morning.
Bye.